This is Prep Period, an all-sports podcast by the Ventura County Star and the people at VCS Press.
Hello and welcome to episode 16 of Prep Period, the Ventura County Star's all sports podcast. My name is Dominic Massimino. He is Joe Curley. Say that again.
I was saying my name. I was mouthing my name.
Joe Curley.
So it looked like I was saying my name with your voice. Sorry. Spur of the moment, being a nut. Apologies.
I'm adjusting your headspace real quick, Mr. Curley. There we go. Take a little step back from your, or a little lean back. There we go. Perfect. So I said before we got on to Joe, we've been doing this for 16 weeks, man. And he gave me some crap because I've said now the last, what is it, the last 16 weeks before I've been like, dude, it's been 15 weeks now. I'm just stoked we've been doing this. It's been pretty awesome. And you know, we got.
You can bring it up next when we get to 25.
Yeah, we get. Okay, fair enough. I'll shake on that. You know, we had a great week of sports, but also, you know, we had, we got some turkey in our bellies. We got, we're a little fatter, a little more time spent with family is always going to be good. Joe, how was your hopefully at least slightly restful, Thanksgiving time?
You know how it was. Wasn't restful at all, but it was very busy, but glad that it was busy. We've got a lot of work to do. It's a historic weekend for Ventura County football, and I'm sure it wasn't restful for you flying back east, coming back, and hitting it hard, covering a great game in the fog, surviving.
It's crazy. We will talk about that game. I ran into when I saw Joe Lamaya, great photographer Joe Lamaya. I crept up on him in the fog on the sideline, and he turns around and he's like, "Dude, I thought you were in Philadelphia," and I was like, "I was like 6 hours ago."
Yeah. My mom always gives me crap because she knows now after doing this for 25 years that I leave the morning after Thanksgiving to get back, because whether it was the semifinal weekend or the final weekend, it's always one of the biggest weekends of the year for us.
Yeah, it was quite unpopular amongst my family members as well, but that is the job. So a super, super exciting week. We had 3 local football teams, hoist the CIF plaques, winning CIF titles of our 4 teams that were playing. So that's a pretty darn good 75% completion rate.
Yes, especially when one of them lost to another.
Indeed.
We were unbeaten from forces outside Ventura County.
So why don't we start up in the highest division that we had, that D3 championship game between Pacifica and Palos Verdes. You covered that game, Joe. Why don't you just walk us through, how they managed to get that win against a team missing their star quarterback?
Yeah, so the whole the game itself was kind of altered by the fact that Palos Verdes was without their quarterback, who threw 24 touchdowns and 1 pick all season. So when they go to the CIF banquet and Palos Verdes quarterback has a cast on his throwing arm, I believe it was his throwing arm. Imagine being the Pacifica coaching staff in that moment. Your opponent has certainly been affected, but now you have to figure out what they're going to look like. And I think what happened was PV played with their backup, didn't do anything offensively in the first half, and then essentially went to a wildcat that was able to just keep the chains moving and keep the ball away from the Pacifica offense. And they honestly had, because Pacifica dropped so many balls. It was either 4, depending on your estimation, it was either 4 or 5 touchdown passes. It kept PV in the game. PV actually, and they took advantage of Pacifica's punting game was really poor in the game. There's a series of short punts, and it's part of the reason why the very last play on 4th and 2 was not a punt. Why it was a 42-yard Isaiah Dillon game-clinching touchdown run.
You
And
just had a Freudian slip to 2024. Isaiah
what did
Dillon
I say?
instead of Isaiah
Dillon.
Phelps.
Isaiah Phelps. Well, yeah. It's not Freudian. It's having 75,000 Ventura County football names in my head. Yeah, Isaiah Phelps. But I thought I was really proud of the way Taylor Lee played in this game because, despite, and he said it after the game, despite, an kind of, it was really unlike the Pacifica receiving core to drop so many balls. And it wasn't one kid, it was across the board, really. He kept at it and he kept trusting his players, and it paid off because the moment they go down 10-7, that deficit early in the fourth quarter, I think it was 9:45 left or something. The moment that happens, that lead lasts for 41 seconds. He hits Will Jones over the top for eventually the game-winning points, a 61-yard touchdown pass. So he did hit Jacobs and Jones with touchdown passes. He ended up throwing for 212 and 2 touchdowns. Without the drops, you're talking about 400 plus yards, 5-6 touchdowns. You're talking about a blowout. But, you got to do it, in that ocean air on that peninsula.
In a hostile environment.
Yeah, the hostile environment. I thought defensively it was a struggle, even though they only gave up 10 points. It was a gut check game for Pacifica. I literally said to Pee Wee Wilson after the game, who's playing on one leg, he's hopping around out there after getting rolled up by the PV offensive and defensive fronts kept them in the game and really dominated at times. And so it was a Pacifica figured out how much they wanted to win that game because they had all the opportunity to tap out. And so they earned their third CIF title in 6 years. And Isaiah Phelps had that great moment at the end where he finally breaks. He had been smashing into that defensive front all night. He ends up with 120. So he had like 80 yards on 19 carries. He gets 42 on his last carry.
Wow.
He also had 19 tackles on. He was incredible on defense. Like the fact that I say Isaiah Phelps had 19 tackles, most of those are solo tackles,
like open field
with no problem. I mean, they had a great running back, and Isaiah, really handled that game on both sides. Elijah Royster coming back for his first playoff game, gave them a little bit of a bounce. They got 88 yards. He had a key catch that extended the chains out and allowed them to run out the clock at the end before the Phelps game-ending touchdown play. And Pacifica becomes the 10th team in county history to go 14-0. Newbury, and it hasn't been as common recently in this system. Those of you that follow Ventura County football will remember we had a string of teams go 10-0 and then lose their first playoff game in a high division. And that was ended last year by Newbury Park, who became the first 14-0 team at the through the sectional playoffs since Westlake in 2009. And Pacifica improves to 3-0 in section finals under Mike Moon. That puts him surprisingly third on the all-time list. Only John Mack at St. Bonaventure and Jim Benkert at Westlake and Simi are the only coaches to win more CIF titles at Ventura County schools. Benkert obviously has another one at Oaks Christian, so he really has 6 total. But all in all, I mean, it was really, like I said, gut check moment for Pacifica. They earned 14-0, and now they've got 2 more. They've got another game this weekend to try to get back and reach their 3rd state championship bowl in 6 years.
I want to turn this into the take zone here for a moment, Joe. I do a little Stephen A action.
Oh no.
Stop talking about the game and talk to me about what seems to have kind of dominated the discourse around this game for the last couple of days. Not that Pacifica, wins another section title and dominates on their way there, but the post game handshake or lack of handshake at this game, the accusations of taunting, that kind of thing. Just what do you make of kind of what the discourse has been around this game? Because it's been a little surprising to me.
I mean, so to sum it up, you can tell how much I really thought of it. It did not make my story. When we did the spaces on Friday night, um, and we spoke to Coach Moon for was it 20 minutes, 15 minutes? Did not ask him about it. I honestly didn't think it was, um, maybe I've been covering college football too much, but it did not seem like it was that big of a deal. Um, so what happened was, um, you know, and it would not have happened without the way the game ends. The game ends, it's 4th and 2 with 6 seconds left from the PV 42. You can't, if you'd have downed the ball, if they don't get the first down there, PV gets a Hail Mary, opportunity. But they put the hammer down and won the game and had this great moment where literally Isaiah Phelps in my story calls it joyful.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, these the exact quote we can dig out, but it's essentially a moment of joy for these kids, and they're celebrating. And Mike Moon is getting chased with the water bucket, and you could see in my video, if you go to VCS Preps on Twitter, there's a video in which you could see Mike Moon just get um, submerged by multiple water buckets as his kids are running out on the field, and so I guess because he was running out onto the field away from, across the field away from the water buckets, it took the celebration out towards the PV sidelines. Obviously, Palos Verdes has their, that's not the greatest moment for them, so they're not happy. And there was a couple Pacifica kids who I guess made the ring finger celebration. And so there's a little bit of back and forth, but you're talking about Pacifica where it's very important that they don't have another moment like the Oxnard, rivalry post-game brawl a couple years ago. And so they have things in place that, if they go out to, you could see the players come out to midfield and they're ready to shake hands. The coaches are ready to shake hands. The players are ready to shake hands. And because there's a couple kids on both sides jawing, administrator stepped in and stopped the handshakes from happening, which is understandable because all you need is one or two people to make the wrong decision, and you've got a fight that can imperil next week's game or the week after's game, right? So um, I'm not gonna hammer. When Pacifica got in the fight with Oxnard, we reported it. I'm not gonna go crazy and hammer them for keeping a fight from happening. So I actually thought it was no big deal. It was I think and Coach Moon had to go on because people in other parts of the region kind of grabbed hold of it and called it classless and called them all kinds of other horrific names. Coach Moon had to go on to Tarek Fattel, former Moore Park College basketball player, Tarek Fattel's YouTube show, to give it a county connection last night after the Ventura County Coaches Association meeting. So he's got a practice. Moon's got a practice to coach. He's got a game to get ready for, to game plan for. He's got a practice to coach. He's got the coaches meeting he's the president of to run. And then he's got to go on and, defend the valor of his program, so it was a very long night for Mike Moon last night, but I thought if you watched it, I thought he did well. And when I spoke to Tarek after, and I mean, I think the bottom line, he said the exact words, um, that rung true for me, which is that it was a nothing burger. So it's just a couple people with followings. I mean, anyway, I think we can move on to other things, but yeah, give me I think you watched it too.
I have some thoughts on both sides of it. Part of it is, I mean, okay, so because I want to make sure that I don't sound like a homer, I think being able to, and Coach Moon said this last night on that appearance on that show, like part of him also feels like, come on, we can't just go shake hands. There is kind of a vibe that is permeating high school sports in general, but football in particular, of like when you win and have this incredible moment, your first instinct is not to have that joyful moment, like Isaiah Phelps said, have that joyful moment and celebrate with the guys who you got there with. Like your first instinct should be turn around and celebrate with your people, right? Like I think that's, and there is a little bit now of an instinct. It feels like it's not just Pacifica, like you see it with a lot of teams where the instinct is, let me go run to the other sideline and do this and ha ha ha. You know what I mean? Like, which is
the Fortnite.
Yeah.
The Fortnite, what do they call that? An emote. Everyone's doing the Fortnite emote.
Right. Which is a little disappointing. And so I think it's fair to criticize, respectfully criticize somebody when you think they didn't win, in a particularly honorful way, if that's a word, but
didn't handle the moment
with sportsmanship. Yes. And I think what ended up happening was considerably more than respectfully, criticizing that program. From what I've seen on social media, some of the things that were said about those boys, that coaching staff, are ridiculous and shouldn't have been said. And I think that the fact that, Pacifica has to, and Pacifica's head coach, Mike Moon, has to go on and after an incredible moment for the program, has to go on and defend, their honor from, mostly internet trolls, I think is a little bit ridiculous. But those two things we can have those two things at the same time. You know what I mean? We can say, sure, go shake hands and don't, clown the other team after, an awful moment for them. And at the same time, like, we're not going to put up with, the BS of, these, using racial slurs and all this stuff that's been, kind of thrown at this Pacifica program. That's my thought. But
yeah, it was gross. And I thought Mike, Coach Moon handled it really well. And I thought that, because they took, he took responsibility where it needed to be taken, and he also had to point out that these are still kids.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And they're his players to punish and to run and to they handle it with a couple kids, but a couple the kids that behave. I do think that you make a good point where celebrating internally, celebrating with your guys rather than doing the Fortnite emote. I don't want to sound like I'm 150 years old.
Well,
but,
I mean, dang, man, I'm 26 and I feel the same way. You know what I mean? Like,
I will say, I think one of the two games I covered, I don't know how it was at CLU, but I will say that the one thing last night that was really one of the things that was really insightful from Coach Moon is CIF does need to look at how they do their post game. We'll talk about it later, but the lights went out on Ventura celebrating their championship within minutes of the game, which was, one, silly, two, dangerous.
Yeah.
The opponent said that had to happen because of local laws. If that's the rule, you cannot
move the game back.
Have the CIF championship game there. You can't have it there.
Yeah.
I will say at the PV game, I've covered probably over 100 CIF championship games. The game at PV was among the least organized CIF championship games I've ever covered. Part of the reason there was no handshake, part of the reason that there was no post-game ceremony was because the organization of it, whether it was the CIF, I don't know who was there from CIF. I did not see them. And I just think overall there needs to be more time given to the postgame. You need to have a cooling off period. You need to have time that's planned for the handshake. You need to have, time for the ceremony. The fact that Pacifica didn't get that moment where they got to raise the plaque,
Yeah,
they were robbed of that. Partially, it was their fault,
sure.
but that moment did not happen. The moment that the photo that we get, what's the photo we ask, that our photographers to get at a CIF championship is if our team wins, we want the photo of the coach lifting the trophy and giving it. We got that from Ventura. We probably and see
Got it
we
from
probably
Grace.
got that from
Yeah,
Grace.
yeah,
So Pacifica did not get that moment. So I think we should go back and I like the plan that Coach Moon said that there just needs a little bit more time and more structure. If the lights are going to turn out at 10 o'clock on a CIF championship game, you can't hold the game there. You
yeah,
can't.
yeah. I also do not subscribe to the like, we need to stop having kids shake hands after games. Like I think that's kind of lame. Just the surrendering to the like,
Yeah.
the our worst instincts of being like, no, we think that we can't handle shaking hands with our opponent that we just worked hard on the field against. Like, I think that's lame, and I think that we shouldn't kind of let ourselves fall victim to that. But there is absolutely ways to make it easier for a bunch of of 16, 17, 18-year-old kids who just either had what was, the greatest moment of their, sporting career or possibly the worst moment of their sporting career, have to go and, congratulate each other immediately afterwards with all of those emotions. Like, I think there's ways we can temper that a little bit, give more time, that kind of thing. There are ways to fix it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
anyway.
Never surrender to format culture. Or seven on, I think on the thing last
Seven
night they
on.
called it seven
Yeah.
on culture.
7 on culture. Yeah. Anyway, congratulations to Pacifica. Congratulations to Palos Verdes, who sounds like,
Great season.
played an awesome game, in tough circumstances. And I hope that everyone out there, fans included, can live with, what happened on the field and the fact that these are kids and move on from it.
Play with respect, celebrate with respect, lose with respect, report with respect, Dom.
That's an important one. We don't have to go into that, but that's an important one.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's move on to, do you want to talk Ventura second, or do you want to talk Grace Santa Paula?
Yeah, let's go to Ventura second, because this is one of the great performances in a big spot in in recent county history. So they played St. Pius the 10th St. Matthias Academy.
Let me just stop you and say I'm so excited that we have an acronym, that you've discovered an acronym
And
that
it's
is used.
EMA at the
EMA.
middle at 50, and I'll say it was a beautiful stadium. They had the old school lights like on the sideline. It was really well lit. The broadcast looked beautiful. It was all in all, it was a nice place. The Ventura fans were stuck. I get there and I audibly laugh because there was buses that went from the what's it called, the bench warmer on Main Street in Ventura. They had Reuter buses go down to Downey for this game. There was more people on those buses than there were seats for Ventura fans in this little.
I saw the little. It was like a little league, like baseball bleacher.
Yeah, somebody was like, "It's not youth football, dude." But like it was like this little rinky-dink bleacher. And it reminded me of the old days at Larrabee Stadium before they had the new away. Larrabee Stadium used to have like two bleachers, the length of the field, where like the visitors were over there just standing. So it reminded me of that. But honestly, the performance should have been at SoFi Stadium. The performance should have been at the Rose Bowl. The performance was absolutely unbelievable. 35-0 in the second quarter. It was 63 points, the most points ever scored in a CIF championship game by a Ventura County team, by a local team. I think it tied the local record. I think Grace scored 63 in an 8-man final once, I think. Previous record was 55, set by Camarillo against TO in the 2015 Northern Division final. They had the record for largest margin of victory in a in a CI final among local teams. Um, until PMA scored at the very end to make it 63-28. When it was 63-21, they had the record, and so they tied the St. Bonaventure win over Moore Park in '08, the '08 Northern Division final. Then you've got Jack Cunningham, 11 receptions for 172 yards and a touchdown and a touchdown run to break Shane Rosenthal's single season receiving record, which was just 2 years old, which is, I mean, we'll talk about Jack Cunningham later, but the season he
And
has
correct me
had
if I'm
has
wrong,
been,
but we kind of thought that was not going to be touched for a very long time.
I mean,
Like,
I mean, part of it is that, like, part of it is, um, I think if they wanted to go, I mean, think of what that team was. If they wanted to go out and if Shane wanted to go out and really set that record, he probably could. Probably Jack, that I think you're talking about two kids who maybe didn't play a lot of second halves in league play.
very true.
So, I mean, but you're talking, I mean, honestly, two of the best receivers we've ever seen locally. I look at Jack Cunningham, and now this is my I'm getting old moment. I look at Jack Cunningham, and it's the spinning image of Dave Anderson in the early 2000s. They're both 5'10", they're both 175 pounds. They both have blonde hair and look very similar, and they play very similar. And that's I mean, Dave Anderson's one of the great players I ever had the privilege to cover. So it's a big time compliment to Jack that that he reminds me of Dave Anderson. But just that that, and then you get the fact that Tristan Phillips goes out, and this is the guy that has been their kind of beating heart. They're kind of, let's say the most opinionated football player in Ventura County.
That's a
When you cover a
compliment.
game, when you cover the game, when you cover as somebody who has covered a lot of Ventura High games this year, Dom, you can confirm that when you cover a Ventura High game and you're on the sidelines of Ventura, you hear a lot of stuff coming from Tristan Phillips, and it is what spurs this team on. Like he says stuff and they believe it and it turns true.
Yeah.
And he went out, and I had him for 4.5, and I thought it was conservative. The official number is 6 sacks in a CIF championship
He
game.
called that in your post game interview. I don't know if you remember that on video.
We
He
had
goes,
had a
I think I had
conversation
6.5
about it.
sacks.
He said 6 or 8. And the
Yeah.
thing about it is, like, I mean, I mean, it was at that, it was like choose your number, Tristan. Like,
Yeah.
he was so dominant
Yeah.
that he basically spied. PMA had a really good running quarterback. He ran for a touchdown in the first half, and then in the second half he broke his leg, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
Yeah.
so he was and he took a beating from Tristan would wait. Phillips would wait for him to make a move, essentially, and just stalk him. There was in the video I posted, he essentially said it didn't come on blitzes. It came on him just biding his time, and like I'll say it. It's going to be a cliche, like a lion in the savannah,
Clip it. Clip it.
stalking his prey. I mean, it is a keystone night, an for a kid who's going to go on to Oregon and has the ability to play in some big games going forward. It is a moment he'll never forget. I mean, I asked all these Cougar players after the game. This is a you grow up in Ventura, you have to listen, you have to learn about the 2000 CIF championship team. Um, I did not realize that Tim Garcia rejoined the staff or joined the staff in 2001, the year after
Hmm.
the 2000 team. And he's had to coach in that shadow for 24 years.
Wow.
And for him to deliver as his son, the quarterback, is a senior, it really is something that you cannot buy. It is a moment you can't. That's why I posted that video after the lights went out. You could see now. Go and look in the darkness. There's a Ventura High staffer holding a light, so I can capture this moment of father and son celebrating. And Derek, we haven't even mentioned Derek yet. 306 yards passing, a touchdown pass. He ran for 50 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had his awesome naked bootleg really early in the game for a touchdown run that was just really well pulled off. Really, just an unbelievable performance. I haven't said anything about James Watson.
I was just gonna say, dude, like what a
300
bounce
yards
back.
from scrimmage. After you fumble 4 times in the semifinal, and then you score 4 touchdowns
Yep.
in the final. I mean, the performances up and down from this team are just every single one of those kids is going to have that, in the propelling them forward in football for the rest of their lives. You're going to have that moment. It really is, was a special thing for Ventura football for every single one of those kids. Every one of them played awesome. The offensive line we talk about, you and I have joked about Ventura being bullies. The bullies are that offensive front. Jack Bell and Christian Rea on the tackles. Nathan Howery, the center. The big bully is Jesse DeAlba, the guard, who just what did I have it in my story? James Watson has rushed for a big run on the very first play of all 4 of their playoff games. 17 yards against Salesian. The Moore Park one was, I think, 40 something.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. He went for 41 yards on the first play from Agura. It did not get touched. He got tackled. I was laughing. He got tackled by the turf monster. That could have been
my Halloween costume.
A 75-yard touchdown run. And then on the very first play from scrimmage of the CIF championship game, after a great return from Tristan Savage, goes to the house. So
it's a credit. It's a credit to him and the great running game that they've had with Tristan Savage is a credit to him. But really, like you said, I mean that offensive front is the reason why they've been able to transform their offense and not just be a pass heavy attack. And that's what's gotten them here. I mean, that transformation is what's gotten them here, and you can trace that all the way back to that offensive line.
It has all come together. When I remember when I showed up to TO for their first game of the year in week 1, and they didn't have a scrimmage, they didn't play in week 0, and they looked awful. The biggest question I had to start the game was who's the running back. And they've gone through a couple. Savage gave them some huge games, but he's he's a threat. You don't want him to be your main running back because he's such a good receiver, he's such a good defender.
Yeah.
You can't have him taking that beating. And then Watson, the transfer from St. Bonaventure, gets eligible and has absolutely been I think it was Jack Bell, the right tackle, who called him the final piece. And he really has been. He's had an unbelievable playoff.
Well put, Mr. Bell.
So, I mean, and you look at it, right? We'll get to the next game, but now they've got some momentum, and you're going to go up and play a team that has incredible there's historic implications with this trip to Arroyo Grande for those two teams have played each other 10-12 times. Derry sent me it. I should dig it up when we get there at the 4th period, but now you're gonna old Ventura heads are gonna have deja vu going up to Arroyo Grande on Friday. It's gonna be so awesome. I mean, I'll actually, I'll wait. Let me wait.
Shut
till
it
we
down.
Get to the end period.
Shut it down.
Let's talk. Let's now get in the fog here. But anyway, congratulations to Ventura. As somebody who picked against Ventura repeatedly and took a bunch of L's and took a huge L in this game, congratulations. I'll take my beating, and they opened my eyes. It was a joy to cover that game.
I love it. So yeah, I mean, to the fog we go. One of the craziest weather events at the very least, but craziest kind of venues, settings for such a big game that I have ever covered. I show up at what is it? William Rowland Stadium? Is that what the name of Cal?
Rowland Stadium, yep.
And
which is a beautiful venue, by the way.
Beautiful. It was awesome. And you're so close to the field when you're in the stands. I
it.
love that. But literally, I'm walking in the parking lot, no fog. Clear as day.
What?
You get to the front gate of the stadium and walk in, and you see, because of the lights, you can see it like as soon as you're walking into the stadium. You're at the gate. I'm getting help. I ask for help to find find field access, and the first thing I see is just like whiteout. Like
No.
there's just a cloud and you turn around, you look behind you. You see people walking in. There's no fog. It was supernatural, very strange.
It was like the cloud had just gone over the stadium.
Yeah, and it hovered there for the entire first half and most of the second half. It lifted for a moment at halftime, threatened to go away, and then came back down for the second half. Anyway, a remarkable game for Grace. I called it a kind of return to glory for them in a new team, a new format, a new way of getting there compared to those those big upper division teams in the late 2010s. But they defeat Santa Paula 48-16 to win that D12 final. It was also revenge from their week 1 matchup. They lost 45-34 to the same Santa Paula team, but a very different Santa Paula team, a very different Grace team so many weeks later. So much kind of transformed. The way this game plays out, there's on the first play of the game, the opening kickoff, Amari Carveth, junior receiver who had a great night, who was maybe not going to play in this game.
Yeah,
you told me
there was a doubt going in the week.
He returns the opening kickoff like 75 yards down to the Grace 10-yard line, and it's like, oh man, that's the big play to start this game off. And the Grace defense holds strong, forces a field goal attempt from Luis Ventura, who was the hero for Santa Paula, kicking the game-winning field goal against Bellflower in the semifinals. His field goal goes wide right, scoreless drive after that huge play for Santa Paula, and then Grace marches the length of the field all the way back down, or I guess 80 yards back down to score on a Jake Williams run, and that kind of that set the tone of the game. That defensive stand for Grace, and then it was just dominant from there on, especially from Grace's two big playmakers in Jake Williams and Landon Cooper, all facilitated by Riley Williams, the quarterback. So, Landon Cooper finishes with 7 catches for 129 yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. And then he also scores on a nice jet sweep to get a rushing touchdown on the ground. And he has an interception in this game at the end of the half to keep Santa Paula out of the end zone at the end of the first half. So just a dominant, explosive performance for him. Jake Williams, the running back, carries the ball 35 times for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns, including that opening touchdown that helped kind of set the tone of the game. He was the workhorse for them. And then his
straight week.
Yeah, and then his brother, Riley Williams, completes 14 of 18 passes for 203 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he rushes for a score, a nasty score, I will add. He keeps the ball, meets a Santa Paula defender at the goal line, and just barrels right through him. Almost
the quarterback,
almost maybe got a penalty because he took a little peek down at the player on the ground. Yes, but yes, the quarterback. And yeah, just a dominant day for the defense. Jaden Wyatt had 14 tackles and a sack, and he had 14 receptions for 60 yards four receptions for 60 yards on offense. Just kind of utter dominance. The explanation from Coach Coate of how that team transformed itself from that week 1 performance was that they had 9 rookies on offense and 8 rookies on defense playing in that first game. So, those guys got a lot of experience over the course of the year, and this was absolutely a different Grace team, and it keeps getting better week over week. So, yeah, go ahead.
I saw Coach Montoya and Coach Coate actually at the Ventura County Football Association meeting last night at Pacifica. And just briefly, when I was talking about the game and I was asking about the conditions and the fog, and he basically just said that Grace stopped their running game.
Yeah.
That they had that great running game at Moore Park the first week of the week 0. I think it was like over 300 yards rushing, and you got to give it to the Grace defense and the defensive coaching staff that they figured it out and stopped it up. And the thing we know about Santa Paula is everything comes off, that they can throw the ball, but everything comes off that running game. So you stop the run, and it takes out They in the games they haven't been able to run, they just haven't been able to score. And yeah, I mean it's a shame because Santa Paula had waited, what was it, 63 years
Yeah.
for that final. But the way they've played in the playoffs in recent years, it's they're not going to have to wait another 63 years. So
Yeah.
great job by Coach Montoya and the Cardinals. Um, and just again, a crowning achievement for Grace, where I thought our story was spectacular. The job that you did and the headline John had on it, facing just a couple of years after the program itself faced extinction, they didn't have a season. They win Division III. I should get this right. Anyway, they have this great run under Josh
I believe
Henderson,
it
who,
was
by the way,
2018 was the last title, I think. But
I think they lost in 2019.
mhm.
Maybe I think yeah they played two straight finals against Corona Del Mar. One they won, one they lost, and then COVID hits and it all they pull the plug. And I think the discourse about Grace and what happened with the program the first time around wasn't 100% honest or great or correct. Correct. Honest is not the right word. They I think a lot of just sports people why would Grace do this and pull the plug in their program? They're a superpower up to Division III. Grace is at the smallest school in Ventura County, maybe besides Santa Clara. The amount of resources it took for them to have that run and go from Division 8 to Division 5 to Division 3 um, was not sustainable. I understood, maybe they didn't handle it perfectly. Maybe it wasn't executed the right way,
Mm.
but it's part of it is the CIF, the way CIF at the time and the playoff system where the better you do, the higher up you get. Um, Especially at that time where you're chasing it year after year, created this momentum where Grace, in order you get one of, Josh Henderson is a tremendous high school football coach, and every year they wanted to keep being good. It's not,
Mm.
so every year they needed more and more resources. And, let's be honest, you know, the, the, the vision, played out. Grace has shown that they can play at D12, play in the Citrus Coast League, probably eventually in the Tri-Valley League,
Mhm.
and thrive and have fruitful seasons. You don't have to chase and go up. Now I think now that the system is your current year rather than your previous year, I think maybe that fixes maybe that momentum of Grace. Okay, now we're in D3, and so we have to be
We
even
have to,
better, and we
yeah.
need even more money, and we need to put all these resources in, if in order for us to compete. So I think maybe now that you can be what with the system being however you do this year, that's the division you're going to be in. You can choose. It's like I talked to Coach Smigel this year before the season, and well, you're not going to have Shane Rosenthal this year. You're not going to have all these other kids that graduated. Okay, you'll be a Division 19, and you'll be a Division 17 or a Division 5. You'll be what you are. So I think that the change going from previous year's data to current year's data fix that. So
Hmm.
anyway, I don't know
Wow,
if does that makes does
no,
that
it
make sense?
does make sense, and it's the rare, I'm realizing as we're talking about it, the rare kind of, positive story coming out of the new playoff system is that there are, like, places to find success and, fulfillment in not to get too
It
philosophical
it
in,
is better
yeah.
to use current data than previous year's data. And what I used to always say was don't punish the younger brothers or the younger sisters for the successes of the older siblings.
Mm.
And so I do think it is an improvement to use the current data. And so in that way it's that's success, that has been an improvement in the system. But yeah. So anyway, congratulations to Grace.
At the end
What
of
that
at the end of this, oh, sorry, go ahead.
go no go ahead.
I was just going to say, at the end of this first period, it's the perfect time for our Deuces stat of the week before we move on, because our stat of the week is 3 Ventura County teams have reached the CIF state competition, the CIF state tournament in football, for the first time ever.
We've had three local teams do it a bunch, and when Oaks Christian was going every year. But Oaks Christian, as many of you know, is not located in Ventura County. It's on the border. It's an LA County school. And so this is the first time we've had three Ventura County teams play this weekend. We had last year we had Newbury and Pacifica. The year before we had Simi and Pacifica. No, wait.
That'd be 2023,
Anyway,
2022.
it's like, why do I have these lists when I don't put
When
them
you
in
try
front
and
of
just
me?
do it off the dome every time.
Because my dome is getting worse and worse every year. Let me tell you. Yeah, Simi and it was just Simi actually. No, Simi and somebody else. Who the heck was it? Oh, Bonnie. Yeah, Bonnie lost the state championship game to Folsom that year. Yeah. So we've had a bunch of teams, multiple teams go the last couple of years. And we're kind of settling in where this is a special year because you have, let's be honest, our number one ranked team, which is an achievement itself because our number one ranked team has lost in the playoffs a bunch until the last 2 years, Newbury and Pacifica. And you've got a lower division team in Grace. And then what Ventura's done, we could have, So we've got a high division team, a low division team, and a middle division team, and that's a first. So, and to read all of that, make sure you go to vcstar.com, get the Ventura County Star newspaper.
There you go.
Read all our. It's been a long football season. This is a lot of work. We do a lot of. We work really hard to provide coverage that is going to stand the test of time. That these clips are going to stay with your kids, and be something that you want to have as a keepsake. And these photos from Joe and Dom and Joe and Dom.
Joe, Dom, Joe.
Wow, not this Joe, because I take Twitter video. That's what I take. But yeah, just make sure that, and then obviously the basketball, winter sports are starting. We've got basketball coverage already starting, soccer coverage. Dom covered CIF cross country, which we'll get to in a little bit. So there's a bunch up there now, and obviously we'll have a bunch of coverage this weekend for CIF state regional football as well.
But don't forget to go support our work. Go get a subscription if you can. Share our work if you can. Tag us.
And subscribe.
All of that is appreciated and helps keep us working, keep us paid.
And we do have all county coming up, so we'll have our all county teams by the end of the month, hopefully, if we ever get a chance to work on them.
Don't say hopefully.
I'm just kidding.
Don't say hopefully.
You go ahead. I'm just taking over here.
No, it's all good. You want to move on to second period here, Joe? Do you want to talk CIF cross country first, or do you want to talk Ventura College football?
Yeah, let's stay on the football for a little bit until we pivot. I just want to mention Ventura College football played, and again, I've said it before on this podcast. One of the things I love about community college sports, the JC level, is that just when you thought you've seen it all, something happens. And it was when I was more regularly covering community college sports, primarily for more than a decade, it was every week was something that you've never seen before. And it's part of the thing I love about community college sports. And so Ventura College football went down to the top seed in the CFA semifinals, Southern California semifinals in Huntington Beach on Saturday afternoon. And Charlie Neos from Rio Mesa High returned an interception to give them a lead, 32-21 with 12 minutes to play. And I'm starting to think, okay. And actually, Coach Rashagian admitted on the sideline, he goes, "Oh, we got this." And then Golden West, it was like a deluge. It was like, 35 points in 8 minutes, all kind of kicked off by a kick return immediately after the interception return. So it went from 31-21 with 12 minutes to play to 31-28. And then all of a sudden, this Ventura offense that had been going up and down the field all day just could not move the ball. They went 3-and-out, and then the next three possessions were turnovers. And that is how you go from up 31-21 with 12 minutes left to down 56-31 with 4 minutes to play.
My goodness.
And I've covered Coach Mashagan for 15 years. I've covered Ventura College football for 25 years. And I could give you a list of the, 10 most ridiculous games because there's so many of them because community college football is hilarious. But he was dumbfounded when I talked to him after the game. I don't think I've ever experienced one quite like that, momentum changing so quickly. I thought he went from thinking, geez, we've got it, to what just happened.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was community college at its most, community college sports at its most, let's say, devastating or raw or just this. I mean, unbelievable. Now, you look at the VC season too, because VC won their first 9 games, and they were the number one ranked team with the Golden West in the state. And from there, they let what was the Mount Sac loss? They let like a 17 or a 20-point lead slip. They lose on a 2-point conversion at the very end. They lose 56-55 in a ridiculous season finale. And that's the only reason they're on the road in the semifinal. They would have been hosting it's the only reason they played last week in the quarters. They would have had a bye. If they win that game, they had a bye. They would have been playing Saddleback on Saturday at home. Instead, they're on the road at the number 1 seed. This kind of you could argue, I think Mashagian saw this as the SCFA championship game.
You're mixing. We got Moon's making an appearance.
Yeah. I'm losing it. But all in all, they had the 9-game winning streak to start the season. They shared the Northern Conference again, the championship. They delivered the first home playoff win in over 100 years of the program's history. So all in all, the 10-2 season is a very memorable one. But I thought it was a very poignant interview with Mashagan after the game. It's a very poignant quote. When you look at the whole body of work, you can be very proud of this football team and what they did, but it was a hard way to go out. And, I think, community college sports gets kind of, gets short shrift, it gets lost with the big time college. I always tell the kids that move on from our kids that go to high school. Did I lose you?
No, I can still hear you. Weirdly, you're frozen on the screen, but I can still hear you.
Oh, yeah, I'm frozen on the screen. Anyway,
finish your thought, and we'll reattach you.
The way I always tell our kids who graduate and move on to Moore Park or Ventura College that community college football, especially at the levels that VC and Moore Park play, is much closer to Division I football. As somebody who covered Division I football for 10, 15 years, it's closer to Division I football than it is, high school or the lower levels.
Yeah.
It's not just like one step up; it's multi steps up. So
it's like that great Brian Scalabrine quote: "I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me."
That's right.
It's true.
That's it. Yeah. If you've ever seen the whole when he challenged anybody who wanted to challenge him, and he won like 75 straight one-on-one games just to prove to everyone that the work
at like the Y or wherever.
Yeah. Oh, it was so great. It was a local radio station in Boston that did it. It was like the Scal Challenge. Oh, so anyway, we're getting off topic.
Sorry.
Let's fix my camera and then move on to cross country. But just congratulations to Ventura College and Moore Park College for fantastic football seasons. It's a tremendous product. Going forward, if you're a football fan of Ventura County and you haven't been to the Sportsplex or to Griffin Stadium for a community college game, you absolutely have to get out there. Because it is super fun.
Yeah, you got big time college football in your backyard. Don't forget it.
And you never know. Like I said, you never know what's going to happen. That's the best part.
Turn your video back on and see if that fixed it.
Be
No,
right
no.
back.
Are you sure? I think it looked like it
Yeah,
was.
it's
No, it's working.
oh,
That's our fix from now on. You literally just do
hold
that.
on.
So that's awesome.
Don't we know that for technical problems you always have to turn it off and back on?
Have you tried hitting your
I mean,
computer really hard?
yeah.
um,
Uh,
so yeah, let's
all right.
jump to CIF State
Woodward
cross country.
Park.
Yeah, Woodward Park, historic Woodward Park in Fresno. Yeah, coming off of a pretty exciting Southern Section finals for locals that did not include any winners. That was kind of a big storyline from last year after we had many CIF title winners and CIF state title winners last year. The question was just going to be how were local runners and teams going to fare against an even larger group of competitors at the state meet. And we ended up getting a couple of really awesome storylines that were not wins, but record-setting and record-breaking performances in non-wins, which is kind of exciting and interesting. So Alo Curtis of Ventura, the senior who's had just such a phenomenal season, really stepping into the shoes left, the massive shoes left by Sadie Engelhart, who's now at NC State. She national champion. Yes, she was the fifth runner for NC State for the Wolfpack's NCAA title championship team on the course this fall. But Alo Curtis finishes runner-up to Summer Wilson of Irvine, the same runner who defeated her for the CIF Southern Section title by about a minute a week before. Summer Wilson goes and sets the all-time course record, 16:20, the fastest time ever run at Woodward Park. And Alo is 15 seconds behind her in 16:35, which was at the time the third fastest time ever run in meet history, regardless of division. So just an incredible run from Curtis. She goes ahead and it ends up being the fourth fastest time after the Division I girls race. Another girl runs ahead of that time, but she goes and takes the lead ahead of Wilson at around the 2K mark, makes a really gutsy move. It's around the same part of the course that she made her move to defeat Summer Wilson at the Clovis Invitational on the same course earlier this season. And she just runs out of steam in that last mile, gets taken down by Wilson. But an awesome race. She gave a lot of credit to Summer in my interview with her. She said, an awesome race. Hard not to be excited about, helping, make history with both of those runners, a huge personal best. And she punched her ticket to Nike Cross Nationals, the premier high school cross country national championship event at Glendoveer Park in Portland on the 6th. So that'll be Saturday. But yeah, just an incredible race for her and an incredible story to run the third fastest time ever, at that meet and finish runner up. And another incredible race was Oaks Christian Sterling White. He's a freshman we've written about a lot this season. He, made an appearance in that feature I wrote about, all the incredible freshmen, boys and girls, across the county this year. He sets the all-time freshman record with a 15:20 run to place ninth in the D4 boys race, breaking the mark of 15:25 set by Arcadia High's kind of legendary high school runner Philip Rocha back in 2012. So, kind of just sort of ties a bow on that great storyline in cross country this year of, the two incredible freshmen at Oak Park, Kathleen Lamb and Anya Patillo, their great year. They both raced well at state this year. The three freshmen at Westlake in Aria Cinelli and the Cruz twins, Sabina and Anais. So, a really cool way for this freshman to end his season, setting that all-time freshman record. But yeah, overall, a phenomenal cross-country season for local runners. We will see Alo race one more time at NXN, like I mentioned, this weekend. As far as I know, we don't have any runners headed to the Brooks National Championship, which is the new name for Foot Locker, which is run in San Diego. Okay. But if we find out, we will update you.
All right. Congratulations to all the runners and good luck, Alo. Do
I'm
we,
fighting off a
do we
cough.
need do we need to press the cough button and give you a? I'll just talk.
Do it. You got
Um,
it. Take us to
the
fourth
all right,
period.
last period. Let's preview the CIF State football regional games. We've got three, like we said earlier in the Deuces stat. It's the first time in county history we've got three of these to cover. The schedule is uh, Ventura at Arroyo Grande in Division 3 AA on Friday. And then Pacifica travels to El Cajon Granite Hills in Division 1A on Saturday. And there is a home game at Moore Park College. Grace School will host Morse of San Diego in the D6A game. So there's your schedule. I'm just going to take these one at a time here from highest to lowest division. 14-0 Pacifica, first time for that. They get a chance to be 15-0 for the first time. They're playing this is their third CIF State regional game. They beat Birmingham in 2019 before they won the state championship. Um, and then they obviously in a game Dom covered, they beat Narbonne at home last year.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Coach Moon thinks this is the longest road trip in program history, which makes sense. It is the state regional, going down to El Cajon. And we've learned that Granite Hills, who, by the way, beat the Lincoln team that just edged Newbury Park in the D1AA state regional last year. It's a Lincoln team, by the way, that Pacifica has scheduled a home-and-home series with over the next 2 years. So Pacifica will play one of the best teams in San Diego, one of the best teams in the state the next 2 years. That's that Lincoln High team from San Diego. They'll also, a little bit of breaking news I tweeted earlier today, are going to play Sierra Canyon next year as they supercharge their non-league schedule. But back to this season, not next season. Granite Hills was down 14-0 to Lincoln, came back. I watched the highlights of this game earlier today, and they came back to win their fourth straight San Diego State section title. They went D2 in 2022, the Open Division in 2023, and then D1 the last 2 years. They are the 2022 Division 2A state champions. They've lost at this stage, the state regional, the last 2 seasons. They lost to the Edison team that beat Simi Valley in the D3 final last year, 34-28. That was the 1A. So that was the same stage, same division last year. So they're back second straight year in a row. They're in this game. And they also lost to Mission Viejo the previous year in the 1AA. So they got, Pacifica's trying to give them 3 straight losses in the state regional. The guy to look out for, the quarterback Zach Benitez threw for 3 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. They had a receiver who went for 142 yards. I talked to Coach Moon, initial thoughts were they're a really good team. It's going to be a game that they have to play well in to compete. And, Pacifica's going down on a business trip trying to advance to the state championship bowl for the second time in second straight year and 3 times in 6 years. So, but it's this level challenge.
Yeah. I mean, you have a little bit of, as you always have at this point in the season, you have a little bit of injury stuff. You have, Pee Wee has that ankle injury this game that he'll be dealing with, but pretty good spot to be in, getting Elijah Royster back. He's back on the field. You
expect him to be better this week than last week.
Exactly.
He wasn't exactly back last week, but he gave them a little bit.
Yeah. Gave them some important, plays. You have Taylor Lee, you have Isaiah Phelps, you have your key playmakers seem to be firing on all cylinders. They seem to be positioned well to go and win this game.
Yeah, that game's going to be on sport. For those of you who don't want to drive to San Diego Saturday night, that game is going to be on Spectrum Sportnet and I think Spectrum News Channel. Those of you that have Spectrum will be able to watch that game. I think it's also on NFHS, I believe. Those of us that have NFHS. And then the game that really, for the
you're psyched about this game.
Older people who love Ventura County football, there was a tweet that's like Arroyo Grande upset Bakersfield, and I think Cal High Sports like projected this game, and like chills went through my body. It was like, the 25 years ago, in the midst of one of the most famous seasons in Ventura County history, the Tyler Ebell season when he broke the national rushing record, the national touchdown record, in what was just an unbelievable season to come for. That was my first year covering high school football in California, well, in Ventura County. Um, and now 25 years later, Ventura's first state regional opponent ever is an Arroyo Grande team that they've played 13 times over their history. It goes back to 1940. They played in the playoffs in 99 and 2000. Arroyo Grande used to be a Southern Section team. It used to be, a team that our teams played relatively often. Newbury Park has played Arroyo Grande the last 2 years. So this team, Newbury Park beat both these teams this year. They beat Arroyo Grande 28-27 on August 28th. They beat Ventura 43-28 on September 26th. And obviously, it's Ventura won the CIF championship game, the Division IV game back in 2000, 35-14, behind Tyler Ebell, his over 200 yards rushing in the second half. You have to mention Billy Griffin, the center who went to Florida, was such a huge part of that team, much in the same way that Jesse DeAlba is a huge part of this rushing this team game. That whole offensive line. It's the reason why Ventura has been running the ball so well in the playoffs. Both of these teams, AG was traditionally a wing team. Paso Robles was a lot of up there. It was a lot of wing tees type of stuff. But it looks like they throw the ball now because both teams are led by star receivers. Obviously, we know Jack Cunningham, who's on the cusp of becoming just the 12th 2,000-yard receiver in state history. According to Derry, I think that's right. And Arroyo Grande has got Caleb Clark, who had 5 catches for 144 yards, including a 83-yard touchdown.
Oof.
He also ran for 2 touchdowns. That was in their previous. Anyway, that was as a junior. This week, he had 2 touchdowns, and 3 catches for 132 yards in the Central Section Division II final. In overtime, AG upset host Bakersfield 23-20.
You see those numbers of his touchdowns last week came on receptions of 56 and 47 yards, and you think deep ball threat, you think big play, potential, down the field, but then you think about those same numbers kind of being applied to Jack Cunningham and the way that they get him the ball. You wonder kind of as somebody myself who has not seen Clark play, has not seen film on him, I'm curious if he is in the mold of, Jack Cunningham in terms of kind of yards after the catch potential versus being more of a, receiver down the field kind of, threat. But curious to find out.
As I pull up highlights, I have to say one thing we have yet to mention, and it happens traditionally, before a lot of the Central Coast schools pulled out of the Southern Section and went to the Central Section, which was about a decade ago. Our teams would go up there and play on grass, and many would play on grass for the first time. This game is on grass, and I asked Tim Garcia the last time Ventura High played on grass, and he told me maybe 2018. I think it was it was basically they haven't played on grass since the Oxnard schools put turf in, which was the pandemic, I think. So, maybe about 5 years. So that is not an insignificant part of this game, that all of a sudden Ventura is going to be playing on a surface that they're not used to.
Yeah.
And it's not like Grace, where Grace played that semifinal in the mud. Grace is a team that practices on grass every day, even though they don't play on it at home. So kind of an interesting little sidelight to see what happens. See if these Ventura kids can still play on grass like back in the day when Tyler Ebell was running through a dust bowl at Larrabee Stadium. That's why we have so many artificial turf fields, because the combination of youth football, high school football and then JC football,
Just tears
community
it
college
up.
football, you didn't have a field by the time you got through September. So, um, now, we have, these services last all season, but it does mean that you're going to be doing something different this week. So it'll be interesting to see if they can maybe go over the baseball field or
Go
go,
to a park.
I'm sure they're practicing somewhere.
Keep an eye
Hopefully they
out.
practice on grass this week.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
you'll see Ventura High football practice out at a park near you. And then
but I imagine you're going to have a bunch of buses from the the
the
bench
bus,
warmer,
the bus.
head north up the 101, pick Ismo, slow. Man, so many. Oh, I was going to say in the beginning, right? I love making those trips to the Central Coast, grabbing a tri-tip, having a Santa Maria tri-tip, or, there's something really special about making that road trip. I remember covering the Newbury Park CIF final at Paso Robles about a decade ago. That game was on grass. There's no way Newbury Park loses that game if that game's on grass. So it's a little bit of an equalizer. Um, and I guess the field looks to be in good shape. So maybe they didn't play a home game when we had the rain, the quarterfinal rain night, but the grass looks in good shape, but it's still a different surface. So, fascinating state regional for Ventura.
And then our final regional bowl game, 11-3 Grace is going to host Morse of San Diego, which I believe we have determined is a city section team down in San Diego.
Or it's a city. It's a San Diego team. They just have San
They don't
Diego
have a
section,
city.
I
Yeah,
think.
they don't have a city section,
Yeah.
but yes, they're a city team in San Diego. They're hosting at Moore Park College for the Division 6A, bowl game, SoCal bowl game. We don't know a ton about Morse, but what a slight perusal of their max preps, certain things pop out to you. Certain things like 5'9", 155-pound senior Superior Garor. I believe I'm pronouncing that last name right. If not, Superior, if you're watching this, apologies. But I will not say that we're unfamiliar with your game because we've looked at your stats. This kid has 35 total touchdowns on the year. He leads this Morse team in rushing yardage, rushing and receiving touchdowns, interceptions with 6, forced fumbles. He's second on the team in tackles, second on the team in receiving yardage. So he does just about everything for this Morse team. We read a gamer from, what was it, from last round or from earlier this playoffs.
No, it was the CIF championship game.
Yeah, talking about, a quote from the opposing coach talking about how they loaded up the box to stop him, and he would just make a jump cut and be behind that defensive line.
Yeah,
so
the quote was like, "You can't teach that."
You can't teach that. So they will have Grace will have an explosive playmaker to deal with. It sounds like on both sides of the ball. We were talking before we got on. It sounds slightly different position. I mean, he's a threat in the passing game too, but it sounds like he's mostly a running back. But a similar kind of player as Landon Cooper, somebody who can just be crazy explosive and change the game on offense and defense. And so that'll be a fun matchup to watch.
And the headlines write themselves, right? The San Diego Union Tribune headline from their Division 5 San Diego City section or San Diego section championship game was "Superior effort pushes Morse
Love
past
that.
Hoover." Yeah, I mean, it's just
Ventura County parents, start naming your kids crazy stuff like that, and we promise to write some cool headlines.
I mean, it's awesome.
I love that name.
It's fantastic.
All right, we're at an hour 18. Joe, you want to quickly tell the people about the All-Star game, and then we'll get out of here?
All right, let's get out of here. But December 20th, for the first time in 50 years, Ventura County is going to have its own Ventura County All-Star team. We did for 50 years the All-Star game where East played West. Can you tell my son just got home from school? So the National Football Foundation All-Star Game last year, Ventura County shared a team with LA County. This year, it'll be Ventura County against LA County. And that game is December 20th at Simi Valley High. It's going to be coached by Gura coach Dustin Croig. I hear Gavin Gray is going to play in it. We're going to have a bunch of our great players playing in it. So get your tickets. There's also the flag game, which was really well attended last year. We will have more information on that.
It was awesome last year. That game was awesome.
So get out to Simi Valley, do your Christmas shopping early so you don't got to go Christmas shopping December 20th. December 20th, you're going to be watching football at Simi Valley High School.
Awesome. Got anything else left to plug, Joe? Go vote. Go vote in the player poll. Let's go. We didn't forget it this time. Go vote in the player poll for a week. Oh my gosh, what was it? Week 14?
15, baby.
15?
No, 16 now. No, 14. Sorry. Oh my
whatever
God.
week it is.
I need to sleep more.
Go vote in that player poll.
Last week was week 14. This is week 15.
So go vote in the player poll for week 14. Lots of awesome performances in there. It's a good way of checking back up on anything we kind of didn't mention in this podcast, if that's even possible, an hour and 20 minutes in. But yeah, go support our work. Go read our stuff. Go share this podcast with anybody who needs to hear it. And have an awesome week. Till next time, guys.
Good job. Nice work, Dommy.
Comes down to this for Thousand Oaks in their season. It is a gift to Martin. Martin gets the first down and more. It's a nice little screen to the left-hand side. One play and see ya later. Caldera dives into the end zone. Touchdown Oxnard. What a fitting way to end that run. He's at the 40. He's at the 20. 10.